All right, it's time to start on a new one. I have wedged this piece of clay, and I'm going to take it and slam it down onto the turntable, but I've got to do that off of the table because I've still got a piece drying over there that would still register as pretty crumbly. All right. So it's not like this is a potter's wheel and centering is of the utmost importance, but I would like it to stay pretty much, where I'm building. So let's go ahead and get started. I do have a bit of an image in my head for this one, not much. This is a piece of clay that I let dry out too much, so I'm going to have to towel wrap that, saturate it really well. So for a small piece like that, I just take 2 rectangles of the Viva towels. I smack it right there in the center. My water bottle is getting low, so I've got to refill that. Really wet it on all sides, and of course the towel is getting saturated as well. So that's going to keep that moisture in place, and now I'm just going to roll it over. Put that way off to the side. From time to time, I'll just spray the towel, and I'll check in on it in about a half hour or so, and it should be exactly what I need it to be. Voice is trailing away because I'm stepping out on the patio to get water. And I am back. I use a particular brand of water for refilling because I don't like the taste of it to drink, and neither does my son, so slowly getting through to the end of that. All right, so that's screwed on good and tight. And let's get started. So I should be able to use the last of my bag clay that is left over. I'm going to take this completely out of the bag and let it sit on top to pull from, because also when I spray this clay, the water won't have anywhere to escape to since that's plastic. All right, so to get started, I'm going to go ahead and serrate the sides. And I don't think I want to do a lot of talking, so you'll be able to see what's going on. And I hush now. You'll see that I switched to the fork instead of the serrated tool, and that's just because I wanted to make wider, deeper stabs. You can see the comparison right there. I'm limited to what I can do with this, even though it's a beautiful tool, one of my favorite tools. But sometimes you even have to put down your favorites in order to make sure that you're getting the desired effect, and sometimes you'll be using different tools to do that. So this is one instance. All right, I've got to move this out of the way for just a moment because I've got to go and use the last of my 25-pound black bag of clay. I have another 25-pound bag of clay off to the side, and you'll know when I don't because you will hear the panic in my voice. But so I'm just using the last of one bag, and then eventually I'll get to that other bag too. So I'm making quite a mess here, and I am going to need to break out my hand towel so that I can clean my hands before I go any further. Hand towel, dust off the table towel. This is the everything towel. So I usually just really saturate my hands with water. I let it cool into my palm, and then I rub the clay all into my hands so it's like a slip, practically a really watery thin slip, and it makes it easier to really wipe it off well. And this is a pretty coarse towel, so it does a good job. All right. Quick clean up there. I'm going to take this out. Got to be careful. I don't know if you guys can see all that clay dust. I'm going to go ahead and throw on a mask for right now. Why, when I'm still working and still have a long way to go, am I cleaning off this table? I don't know. It just made me feel better. It got a little too junky, and it's all of that clay a little too crumbly, too quick, and it was making me uncomfortable. So I decided to do something about it right then and there. Beads like that. If you wonder why sometimes I serrate and sometimes I just add clay, it's because it's easy for me to forget at this stage either way, because the clay is all pretty much the same consistency at the same moisture level, so it doesn't really need to be serrated. It's going to join fibers and blend right in. I'm just used to serrating, so if I happen to have the fork in my line of sight when I'm getting ready to add pieces, then I remember. If not, then I don't. If they were at two different moisture levels, I would do my best to remember to serrate each and every time, because I wouldn't trust that they join in the same manner, because parts of it would be drying quicker than others, and I wouldn't want to take a chance with that connection not being solid. So, hope that answers the question, if it even was a question in anyone's mind. I think that's what I'd be wondering if I was watching someone. Why are you doing something some of the time and not all of the time? I'm skirting the clay out a little, and that's just forcing a base by pushing the clay outward. And that's just in an effort to try to make sure I create a strong joining, so that when this clay starts to shrink and give way, it doesn't have gaps at the bottom that's going to cause it to wobble. I'll be cutting a lot of this away, but I want to make sure at this internal point almost, that I've got it meeting sufficiently. You know, all of that'll get scraped away pretty much like this. But I'll feel much more secure in the fact that I don't have a ton of gaps. And hopefully when the shrinkage starts, it won't have all these areas that are not flush against the surface and end up creating a lot of wobbly sections. That's my logic. I don't know if it's foolproof or even if it's right. This is just what the limited amount of common sense I have is telling me should be done. So I'm doing it. Now I've got to make this neck disproportionately large because I'll need to cut away a considerable amount. And it's also going to, actually I need to make it thicker because it's also going to hold the head, which is going to be proportionately smaller. But it's still, because of the length of the neck, it can still end up being a problem with not being able to bear the weight and it falling off. So I don't want to take that chance. So I'm going to keep her extra thick neck, and that'll be cut back considerably at some point. So right now, though, it's all about maintaining that hold. So I'm pushing down and onto, you can see I lose a lot of clay just by doing that maneuver. So imagine if I made it much smaller, you know? I'll go ahead and use some of this clay from the back, which is way too large, and push it up so that I don't have to roll a coil to stabilize her neck. I am seeing what I need to see, which is what's important, so that I know that I'm heading in the right direction. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, put this piece of clay back into the bag, clean up just a little bit because I need to run a quick errand, and this will be my break. I can leave the table a mess because I'm coming back to it. It's 6:51 right now. I want to be in my bed, bathed the whole nine, ready, in my bed by 10. And I think I want to wash my hair, so I've got to start strategizing for my time, because after I wash my hair, that means I have to twist it too. And that can be done while I'm in bed, just before sleep claims me. But still, I have to be mindful of how quickly the time will start passing now that I've set that plan. So I'm going to run my quick errand, take a break, give my phone time to charge, and because I'm pressed for time, I'm probably not going to wait for it to charge before I start my second session, and that just won't be recorded. It bees like that sometimes. But just to take a quick spin, this is where we are with this piece right now, freestyled piece, and that's what it's looking like. And I'm going to leave her out because I want her to start to get leather hard, so that all of this excess clay will serve as an armature and she'll keep herself propped up. So we are calling it now at 1 hour, and I will catch you on the flip side if I can. Peace. All right, I'm going to get in one final sculpt session for the night. So I got the clay that I had wrapped up in this towel, and I'm going to make the head, which is going to be small proportionately to the figure as a whole, not as this neck. I don't know if you saw in the earlier video, I made the neck extra thick because I need it to be able to support the head. And once the clay starts to harden, I can, you know, do some trimming on that, trim the neck down very much, and make it okay. But for right now, it needs to be really, really thick so that it can accommodate all the scraping away that I'm going to do. I think this head size is about what I need it to be. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to use the fork to serrate, and I am going to use some slip. Now, even though the neck is thick, it's still not the sturdiest thing, so I have to hold this entire piece with my hand to make sure that I don't rock this neck back and forth. And instead of the slip bowl, a carryover from when the illustrious Chastity Jade of Crown Me Royal Labs invited me to the Flavar Entertainment Scene event, I took a jar of slip to work with. And I think I like working from this because, you know, I can seal the jar nice and airtight, and it's going to keep the consistency that I need. All right, so let's get back to this misshapen head. I'm going to go ahead and add, there. So now I've got to hold this firmly, hold the neck firmly, and wriggle the head down onto the neck. Now I have really altered the shape of this head. And I'm just going to go ahead and use the tool to, oh, sorry, had this out of camera range, my apologies. I'm going to hold the head down onto the neck and use this tool to push some of the clay from the neck up onto the head area. because I need it to just basically dry in place. And it's got plenty of slip, so all of that is going to connect and dry exactly as it should. So I'm pressing the head down, pressing the clay up. And I'm still probably going to add a coil to reinforce the neck even further. I'm not sure yet. All of this is extra thick, extra misshapen, and it's fine. All of that will be corrected much further down the line. I just want that to dry. This is actually going to stay out all night because I really need this head part to dry a little quickly. And the best way to do that is to go ahead and start letting it get leather hard. And if I tint it, it's going to defeat the purpose. So just joining that in all the way around. And hopefully this will stay put and I don't wake up tomorrow and the head is on the floor like it did that last time. We'll see. I think it'll hold. I hope it'll hold. We'll see. And now I've got to add a little bit for the arms. And I'm going to need a bit more clay, so pulling from my bag. And I'm just compacting it. And I'm just rolling out the coil on the table. Yeah, I know this looks pretty jacked up right now, but it's cool. Trust the process. I have to do the same thing, believe you me. There's going to be more clay added to that shoulder part. But for right now, I just want to make sure that this is connected the way it needs to be. And I also need to make sure that this is already established because I don't want to have to come in and do anything. When I start trimming this arm, it needs to be from the outside. And now that I see where this is going to rest, it almost looks like a handle. I'm just going to go ahead and smooth it because this clay is still soft enough to take that, to accept this clay and blend nicely so that it can dry as one piece. And I think that this piece that I clipped off will end up being perfect, where I had to pinch it off because it was too long to make the other arm. So I'm just creating some scored texture so that I can press this in. And I'll go ahead and use the tool to join it. Blend it right down into the existing clay. Same thing as on the other side, adding a little extra clay to the shoulder area because I think sort of a lot of sculpting is going to happen right around that area, and I need it to be good and fleshy to give me enough area to work with. And once again, because I'm going to be sculpting and forming the arm from the outside, I need to make sure that this curve is already to my liking, the curves of the inside of the arm, because I'm not going to be doing any shaping there. So I have to sort of get it right now. Alrighty, this is looking good and rough. And good and rough is where we're going to leave it because tomorrow awaits. So you can hang out with me for a second while I clean off the table. This helps me with accountability for my vow of neatness and making sure that I have a very welcoming work area to come into tomorrow. All right, I'm gonna take this wet towel, a moist towel, and just wipe some of the dust off the table. It's also a very good habit to use a wet towel to wipe most of the residue so that the clay dust is not flying back up into your face. So definitely don't follow my pattern because it's usually to dry dust. Please take my word of advice regarding the clay dust and make sure that your areas are nice and saturated with water so that the clay dust doesn't just fly back up into your face. And you can always do that by wiping with a moist towel first, like you just saw me do. And then you come back in after spraying it one more time, like you just saw me do. And you can really, really clean it up. So we're going to take her on a quick spin. She is horrendous looking, but she's going to get much better, you'll see. But that's the stage that she's at right now. And a lot is going to be whittled away. And I'm really excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. So that has been a little quick final Sunday session. 24 minutes, nope, 25 minutes. And I'm going to stretch my towel out so that it can dry. The other piece that I was working on is pretty much finished. You can see the plastic bag, that's her drying off to the side. And I'm looking forward to putting a few finishing touches on her. I actually need to move her, so this is the best time. I'll go ahead and pick it up now, uncover her for a second before I cover her again. Oh, she's too close, you can't see. I have to back the camera away so that you can see her. So there she is, that's the little lady, all finished. And I adore her, and I decided to keep that very unnatural arch that is following the right shoulder blade, which would not happen, of course, the spine is in the center, but that was before she decided what she was going to become, and I was sculpting on a more abstract level, but I like that curve, so I decided to leave it. And that's the beautiful thing about your art. You decide what's going to be realistic, what's going to be stylized, what's going to be abstract. It's all your call. So let's push her out of the way. I said I was going to leave her out, so that's what I'm going to do. But she is going to get carefully covered. I don't ever want to apply pressure on extended parts like that, so I'm just going to move her over. She's completely covered. This one's going to stay out. She'll get covered just before I leave for work so that she doesn't dry out too much. And maybe at lunchtime, if I feel like it, I'll sculpt on her. If not, she'll be waiting for me tomorrow evening when I get home. Keep in mind, guys, that the Facebook Live sale in October is still very much a plan. I should be taking all of my glazed pieces to be glazed fired next weekend, and I'll have a really good lock on what my inventory will likely be. So that's very exciting. And, you know, if you want to be down with that and get some really attractive pricing on my small and mid-sized sculptures, please make sure to back channel me your email address. I promise you, you don't go onto some sort of subscription list where you're going to be hearing from me every week. Nope, you'll get probably one email to announce the date of the sale once it's established in October, and you'll get 1 to 2 more at the most that is going to be like a couple of days before and the day of as reminders, because you know we all have a lot going on and it's very easy to let things slip your mind. So if you haven't been sending email addresses because you're worrying about being bombarded, please don't let that stop you. I promise not to do that to you. And I would like to see people get to take advantage of the special pricing, because it's only going to happen on the Facebook Live sale. Website price is different. Mulberry Art Gallery pricing will be very different. So this is your opportunity to get down on it. And I hope you had a wonderful weekend and that you have an amazing week. Peace.